Alright, so this lesson is all focused on mathematically being able to find the vertex. So in this lesson, you won't necessarily be given a graph, you would be given a function, kind of like this, with numbers plugged into it. So just like we did on quadratic formula, we need to be able to identify A, B, and C, really just A and B, for our vertex formula. So this is our vertex formula right here. This is how we find the x value of our vertex. So we would do x equals that. Once we find that x value, then you can see here to find the y value, we plug the known x into the given function. Okay, so let's practice that. Let's look at number 1. Okay, so I need to first identify a and b. So for this problem, a is the imaginary 1 in front of x squared, and b is negative 10, the number beside x. So then the x value from our formula above is negative b. So since b is negative 10, negative b would be positive 10 over 2 times a, which a is just 1. So then 10, so 2 times 1 on bottom is just 2. 10 divided by 2 is 5. That's the x value of my vertex. Okay? So to find the y value of my vertex, y is the same thing as f of x. So to find the y value of my vertex, I would do y equals, and then I would just copy this function in here. Okay, so let me switch colors. So just copy this function. So instead of x squared, I'm going to plug my x value that I know in, 5 squared, minus 10 times the x value I just found, which is 5, plus 2. And then you just work out the math. So 5 squared is 25. Negative 10 times 5 is minus 50. And then plus 2 more. So 25 minus 50 is negative 25. Plus 2 more would be negative 23. So y equals negative 23. So then for your vertex, you put it all together. So x comma y would be 5 comma negative 23. That would be my vertex. Okay. Alright, let's look at one more together, and then I'll have you guys do some on your own. Okay? Alright, so on number 2, I need to identify a and b. So a is the number next to x squared, that's negative 4. B is a number beside x, that's 16. So then x equals negative b, so negative 16, over 2 times a, which a is negative 4. So on bottom, 2 times negative 4 is negative 8, and negative 16 divided by negative 8 is positive 2. So then to get the y value to go with it, I plug it into my function. So y equals negative 4, and then plug in your x, so times 2 squared, plus 16 times 2. So this we have to be extra careful with, okay? Remember, order of operations tells me to do my exponents before I multiply. So I want to make sure and do this exponent first and then multiply by negative 4. So 2 squared is 4, and then 4 times the negative 4 out front is negative 16 for that term. And then back here, 16 times 2 is 32. So when I combine those together, negative 16 plus 32 is positive 16. So then my vertex, when I put it together, x comma y is 2 comma 16. Okay. Alright, so you have a couple examples there. Let's not do all 4 of them. Let's just do 3 and 5. Okay. So go ahead and do 3 and 5. Pause the video, do 3 and 5, and then when you are ready for me to go over them, you can unpause. Okay, so looking at number 3, identify a and b. So a is a number in front of x squared, that's negative 2. B is a number in front of x, that's negative 8. So x equals negative b, since b is negative 8, negative b is going to be positive 8, over 2 times a, which is negative 2. Okay, so 2 times negative 2 on bottom is negative 4, and 8 divided by negative 4 is negative 2. To get a y value to go with that, y equals the negative 2 out front times negative 2 squared when I plug that in for x, minus 8 times negative 2 plus 5. Okay, so all I did was copy my y function down with plugging in my x value. Okay, so remember, order of operations tells me to square this before I multiply. So negative 2 squared would be positive 4. Positive 4 Okay, so sorry about that. Negative 2 squared is 4, positive 4. And then 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. My second term here, negative 8 times negative 2 is plus 16. And then plus 5. Okay, so negative 8 plus 16 is positive 8. And then positive 8 plus 5 more would be 13. So then put it together, my vertex is negative 2 comma 13. Alright, and then last but not least is number 5. So A for number 5 is 8. B for number 5 is 16. So X equals negative B, so negative 16 over 2 times A, which is 8. So negative 16, 2 times 8 on bottom is 16. Negative 16 divided by 16 is negative 1. So then to find the y, I plug it in. So 8 times negative 1 squared plus 16 times negative 1 minus 2. So remember, do your exponents before you multiply. So negative 1 squared would be positive 1. Positive 1 times 8 is still 8. 16 times negative 1 is minus 16. And then minus 2 more. So 8 minus 16 is negative 8. Minus 2 more, y would be negative 10. So put it together. Vertex is negative 1, negative 10. So our next step for next lesson is putting all this together and actually graphing our parabolas. So we've practiced solving them with quadratic formula. We've practiced now vertex, which you're getting ready to practice, and then we'll be able to put it all together and graph them. Okay.